Hello and welcome back to this edition of Daily Actives brought to you by Blue Leg Macro. I'm Dustin. We are looking at Tesla once again, and I can't believe it. The crazy son of a bitch did it. What clearly has happened here, if we're looking at Tesla, the most recent chart through 9/11, never forget, we can tell that essentially there's been a new catalyst that's been introduced into the market. Now, if we look at the recent price moves, we can see that on the 18th, we were down at $215. This red line right here is the 15-day moving average. We clearly came right above it. It looks like on the 25th of August. We've held above it. We have not had any issues whatsoever staying above the 15-day moving average. If we look over here at the trade-based sentiment trade range, what you can see essentially is that Tesla is now at the very top of its range. Top of its range is at 237. It doesn't look like it's reflected in the other range at the moment, but this range is at 271.25, so it's slightly above its overall range. I do want to look at the regular daily data because I'm very curious about what this is going to look like. I really do respect Tesla in terms of the way that the stock price moves. I think that $215 move right here was a significant day. The 18th of July was a very important day. I've called that out in previous videos if you haven't seen my previous work. One of the reasons why was because this was a humongous volume day. You saw 136 million shares traded and then 135 million shares traded the next day, with the price moving up essentially 7.3%. And then you did see the 5-day change, and since then you've essentially seen the 15-day rolling change go positive as well. That was back on August 29th. Now we see ourselves at $273.58. Now we see ourselves with a red lettering with white background. That's interesting to note because that means we're 3 standard deviations above the 23-day average, which right now is at 242. You can see that we traded over 174 million shares today. That's the highest volume that we've seen in however long. Actually, I want to take a quick look at just what the volume looks like. If we look down here, we can see that the volume, yes, what is interesting, if you watch my previous videos, we noticed that we were starting to get an inflection in Tesla in terms of how the 15-day moving of volume was. It was coming up. Obviously, breaking 174 million shares traded in one day was a significant day relative to what we've seen just in the recent past. We haven't seen days like this since back in June, which were very bullish times indeed. If we go back and look at the raw data, what we'll see here is we have volatility, which is falling. Volatility has come down from 18 down to 6. Obviously, we're getting these very extreme explosions, so volatility is definitely going to explode higher soon. We can see we now have back-to-back day price to rise, which is really positive to see. We're getting rid of that price to fall, which we've essentially had back-to-back since the 24th. I consider when there's two signals in a row, that's when I consider there to be an actual trend change. And whatever the indicator is, you see how it's volatility falling, it would take 2 days in a row of volatility rising. Same thing if it looks like the 15-day change. You can't just go from having consecutive red to having just 1 day green. You need to have 2 full green days as well. That's just how I look at things. Stay around if you're interested. Subscribe if you like what you hear. But now we're looking at the 1 month, which has been positive. It looks like ever since the 5th of September, we've gone double positive on the 6th. So at 251, that would have been a good signal. We've got essentially go longs in the 3 months in terms of it being a rolling positive return on the 6 month as well. We got go longs in the short term, intermediate term, and longer term. We can see here on the trend indicator, we did actually flip bearish on the short term. Be very curious if that holds up through the end of the week. We are bullish on the longer term, or in the intermediate term, excuse me. On the longer term, we are still very bearish. This is just on the daily. What we're going to do is go ahead and look at the weekly as well. I want to look at the weekly because I think it's important to understand what type of moves we've been looking at generally. And actually, I don't want to update this at the moment. I wanted this to hold to the end of last week. So what we can see right now is that if we look at the longer term in terms of the bullish, we are actually bullish. So we have been bullish in Tesla since June 16th at 260, which you wouldn't expect that we were still bullish, but Tesla really hasn't given a lot of indications it's necessarily rolling. Actually, if you look on the weekly, it has gone rolling negative. It's quite surprising. I'm sure, and actually, just because we're here and now I want to see what it's going to look like, I'm going to update this. I'm going to go ahead and update this data to show you exactly how to add in your own data if you're interested. There we go. So now I just entered it in today's date because I want to see what today, if the week closed right now, how high would it be? The 1 year would only be down 9.81% versus the 17% through the end of last week, which is very interesting to see. You can see that we've got a very good return, essentially returning here in Tesla. We're going to look at the daily chart. What a nice breakout that is. I mean, that's a huge gap higher. I don't know if it's on earnings, it's just on the catalyst of just news. We look at the daily bullish sentiment, we can see that we can definitely rise higher. We are at 44% positive right now. Obviously, we looked at the volume already, look fantastic. We noted this already that the volatility is falling. Volatility has been falling for quite a while. We can see that the correlation is also going negative aggressively. You can see when you see the kind of move here where it was going in one direction with some momentum and then the correlation completely shoots down like that. Because you notice most of the time when the move starts going, it just keeps rising. That really tells you that the price move really drove the derivative here, which means that this move in price going up from yesterday closing at 248 and today closing at 273. What a great move in Tesla. It's 10%. That move was driven by some exogenous catalyst. It wasn't driven by the underlying momentum. Now, it could have been part of the underlying momentum, and that's why the move had already begun. But from what I can tell right now, that looks like the price is driving the derivative of the volatility and the correlation. If you look at the ultra fast sentiment, we're at 45%. We want to see that definitely get higher. We want to get above 50%. We are happy that we are now above our 15-day moving average of bullishness. Obviously, we could expect that we could get all the way to 70%. This is Tesla we're talking about. This thing is incredibly bullish sometimes and incredibly bearish sometimes, as we have seen since June, when essentially we got this rollover essentially here, right? This was the real rollover. This is a false breakout, and then this has been the nice move. But now it looks like we're setting up for what could be a fantastic move going into the fall. But tell me what you think in the comments below. Are you long? Are you short? Do you like it? Do you love it? Is this even a good review? And before you go, subscribe to the New High newsletter. We send you 25 stocks to your inbox every single Sunday. Stocks between $5 and $20. Stocks breaking out to 1-year highs and all-time highs. It's a great list to review on a Sunday morning. We'll talk to you soon.